Okay.
Okay.
So, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I would like to share today's workshop on the final afternoon of JALT Call 2021, a new outlook for assessment by Maha Hassan. It's going to take us through this topic, give us a lot of information about how we can use a variety of assessment tools. So if you have questions, please write them in the chat window and we will talk about them at the end. All right, thank you very much. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Maha Hassan. I'm an educational consultant and teacher trainer and founder of Teaching ESL Hub, and I'm joining you from Cairo, Egypt. It's a pleasure always to be presenting with JALT, and it's a pleasure to be joining JALT 2021. This year, I'm speaking about a new outlook for assessment. We have been doing a lot of work during the last pandemic year, and then we were working mainly on the idea of shifting from face-to-face to online work or classes, and this was a great challenge for us as a whole. In addition to this, we came with a very important point that we had to keep in mind or find a way out for it, which is assessment. Since we are now totally online, how can we do this kind of assessment? So I tried to make a quick survey of what's really going on. What about the 4 skills of the language? How can we find ways out for teachers to make it much easier for them to assess their students online with the least possible problems? So this had to keep us, to remind us that we need to keep things simple so that we can help ourselves, because we have been already overloaded with work shifting from face-to-face to online work. Today, I'm going to speak about how can teachers of young learners seek help from the new CEFR revisions. And then I'm going to speak about the 4 tools for language skills: the listening, speaking, reading, writing, and posing a number of online assessment tools that can help you as teachers in order to be able to help your students and lessen the load of work as much as possible, keeping in mind that we have a number of important references to refer to. The very first question that I have to pose first before we start: what is the CEFR? Because CEFR has been developed lately, and it has a great effect on our work, and it can really facilitate a lot of the work that we can do in class. So let me ask you first, what is the CEFR? It's an abbreviation for, if you'd like to share with us, what is it an abbreviation for? Can you add in the chat box? Or if you'd like to open the chat, the mic and say it, it's okay. We have ASDA, and we have Combined European Framework of Reference. Yes, it's the Common European Framework, of Reference for Languages. And this has been set, as you know, by the European Council to help teachers decide the different levels of their own students. Let me first, before we go ahead, ask you to do a very quick quiz on Wordwall. I will put you the link in the chat box. Sorry. Here is the link. Please go to the link and do the quiz very, very quickly. Can you see the quiz on my screen? Can you see the quiz on my screen?
Yes, I can see the quiz.
Yeah.
not on your screen, but
Ah,
I'm doing, now I can see it on your screen.
okay. Okay. So this is the quiz. Do it quickly. It's just 3 questions. It's very interesting. And tell me how many questions did you get right? This is on Wordwall. Okay. Oh, why ever? It's okay. It's okay. No problem. You're going to get the full mark after you finish. Okay. What about the other attendees? What about Asda? And what about Tia? Tida? Have you done it? Any results? Azeda and Pia, have you done it? No.
If you didn't see the link, open the chat window. The link to the
In the
quiz is
chat,
in the
yes.
chat window.
It's in the chat, yes. You just press it and you get on the quiz. Okay, so let's take a look over here. Let me get back to the presentation. Yeah, so the CEFR, as we have said, it started, the CEFR, it has been set up by the Council of Europe in 2001, and it was mainly set for to provide a method of learning, teaching, and assessing, which applies to all languages of Europe or in Europe. In 2017 and 2018, they revised the the CEFR, and they have added new changes which could help teachers more and more with their work. We know that the CEFR is mainly used for deciding the level of our students in order to know where are they and how we can help them with the learning of the language. And they have divided it right from the very beginning into scales and descriptors. And the scales were the 6 scales: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. Or in other words, we can say it was a basic user, independent user, and proficient user. But with the new changes of the CEFR, they have made lots of interviews with teachers all around Europe. And many teachers said that it's sometimes very difficult to fit the students into the different levels because they are either before or after the level, and they are not exactly A1 or A2, B1 or B2. So what did they do with the new revisions? They have done this. They have added pre-A1. Sorry. They have come to add pre-A1, before A1, and then A1, A1 plus, A2, A2 plus, B1, B1 plus, and B2, B2 plus. This is what they have added in order to help the teachers with the new levels. And how were they able to help the teachers with these scales? They have added descriptors to them. What is the meaning of descriptors? Descriptors means that they have explained every level according to the different skills of the language that we have, and how we can, how we as teachers will be able to know about the levels of our students, the abilities of our students, the skills of our students, and how we can help them with the different ideas, activities, and exercises that we can use in class in order to help them to develop learning the language. So in the past, they have they set the descriptors or divided the descriptors according to the 4 skills of the language: the listening, the speaking, the reading, and the writing. But with the new changes of the CEFR, they changed the whole idea. They have set it in the form of an overall language proficiency descriptors. They have divided it into 4 general competencies. They have started with the general competencies, communicative language competencies, communicative language activities, and communicative language strategies. With the general competence, they said that it's very, very important that we keep in mind as teachers that there is something called savoir. These are French words. The savoir here means knowledge. We as teachers give knowledge to our students in class. So when they learn the knowledge, means the vocabulary or the grammar that we are introducing, what do they do with it? How do they use it to solve exercises? Savoir faire means what do they do with it? Or how do they use it to solve exercises, different kinds of exercises, vocabulary, fill in the spaces, choose the correct answer, use it in sentences, correct the verbs, put the right verb in the right form, and so on and so on. And then when they learn these quite well, how are they going to use it? Savoir-être means how are they going to use it to speak about different kinds of topics. For example, if we are going to speak about the Tokyo Olympics, for example, which is going to take place, how are they going to speak about it? If they are going to speak about climate change, if they are going to speak about the problems of youth, and so on and so on. So these are different topics. So when they use it to speak about different topics, they are going to get practice. So in this case, they will be able to do savoir apprendre, means they are going to personalize the info that they have learned. How are they going to use the info learned in order to speak about personal themselves? For example, if they are going to speak about the Tokyo Olympics, for example, what do they think of the Tokyo Olympics? Are they happy about it or they are not happy about it? Would they like to join? What about the athletes? Are they going to share, to go and join the games and so on? What about the climate change? What do you think? Has it affected your country? Has it affected you personally? Do you know someone who has been affected by it? So this is called savoir apprendre, means to personalize the info learned, which is what we call the real language use of the language, which is supposed to be our main aim as teachers. We are helping students to learn the vocabulary and the grammar in order to be able to use it to speak about different topics with different people and use it in different places. This is what we call real language use. So they gave great importance to these 4 items. And parallel to them, of course, we are going to speak about the language competencies. So with this knowledge, what kind of knowledge are they going to get? It's linguistic. It means they are going to learn about the grammar, about the vocabulary, the structure of the language, the structure of the sentences, how they are going to use it in different, to speak about different topics. And then sociolinguistic, which is equal to the savoir-être. How are they going to use it to speak about different topics related to their society? And the pragmatic means the real language use, which is the savoir apprendre. How are they going to use it in order to speak about different personal items? In the past, the CEFR used to describe the levels of the students according to the 4 skills of the language. In other words, they used to give you an idea what would be the level of the student concerning the listening in A1, A2, B1, B2, what were their abilities at these levels. They divided them according to the 4 skills: the listening, the speaking, the reading, and the writing. This time they have done it differently. They have divided it into receptive skills, productive skills, interaction, and mediation. They have divided it into the receptive skills, as you know, the listening and the reading, and the productive skills means the speaking and the writing. And they have added interaction. I'm going to speak about it in a moment, and mediation to it, which they have already developed, which were not developed before in 2001. And they have added strategies, which are different kinds of suggestions to the teachers, how to use these different kinds of language skills in class in order to integrate them together, excuse me, integrate them together in order to be able to help the students to work together in groups and pairs in order to develop the usage of the language. If you take a look over here, this is what they have done with the receptive skills, the listening and the reading. They give you lots of ideas over here. about different kinds of activities that you can use in class in order to help your students to practice the usage of the vocabulary and the grammar that you have introduced to them. For example, here, understanding interaction between other speakers. They listen to two persons speaking together, and then you discuss it with them. What are they speaking about? What's the situation? Where are they? What are they doing? And so on. Listening to a member of a live audience, listening to an announcement of instructions, listening to audio media recordings, for example, a film, a video, a documentary, and so on. So they are giving you a number of ideas over here which can help you as teachers in order to think of different ideas that would be of great interest to your students in class and make it more attractive and flexible for your students to interact in class in order to be able to enjoy learning the language. And they have done the same thing over here as well with the productive activities, with the speaking and with the writing. And you notice that every time they give you some kind of strategies how to do these. When you go to the CEFR online, it's totally for free. You can find all the details with the explanations of these ideas for all the levels. Yeah, they have done this for all the levels, starting with pre-A1, A1, A1 plus, A2, A2 plus, and so on. So you find all the description of the abilities of the students at these levels. So you would have a very good idea of the abilities of your own students. So you will be able to think of different kinds of activities using these ideas in order to help them get introduced in class. Another idea which has been highly developed, again, excuse me. Another idea which has been highly developed and highly stressed during the new revisions of the CEFR is interaction, because they insisted on the idea that the learner is a social agent, and this social agent needs to interact and speak with others in order to be able to communicate and use the language learned in order to develop learning the language. So they insisted on the idea of interactive activities concerning the four skills of the language: the listening, speaking, reading, writing. And they have stressed the idea also of online interaction. And they believed that we need to do this through group work and pair work, and that the students should have a very clear idea of the lesson that they are working on. And this should be done through a lot of interaction in group work in order to help each other to understand and have the chance to go out in front of their colleagues and present in order to be able to clarify the ideas that they are learning and practice function using the language that they have already learned. So as you can see over here, they have given you a number of interactive activities for the speaking, for the writing, and even for the online interaction. And as you can see, for the online one, they have stressed the idea of online conversation, discussion with others, and the goal-oriented online transaction, which is very, very important. That when you work, ask the students to work with others online on the other side of the world, there should be a goal for this. We needn't ask them just to open their mics and speak to somebody for no reason. We need to have a goal. For example, there are lots of teachers who exchange classes online, and they decide together which topic they are going to speak about. For example, each one is going to speak about his own country and give an idea, a brief idea about it with pictures and so on. So that can be a goal for the students. So when they prepare, they have an idea, clear idea in mind what they are going to speak about. So this is very important, this idea of goal-oriented online collaboration, because it makes a great difference to the students, because it helps them to concentrate on what they are going to work on. At the same time, they have, for the writing, they have added this idea of correspondence and exchanging emails and messages and notes together, in addition to the speaking activities, the usual ones. Another very important idea, which has been highly developed with the new CEFR changes, is that of mediation. And by mediation means the text, the medium that you are going to use in order to speak about um, to teach your students your lesson. For example, what kind of text are you going to use? Are you going to use a comprehension passage? Is it going to be a story, a newsletter, a newspaper article, or is it going to be a comprehension passage from a book, or is it going to be a listening, a video, a documentary, a story even online? So what kind of text are you going to use? This is called the medium or the mediating text that you are going to use. For example, they are giving you here, for example, relaying specific information in speech and writing, explaining data, graphs, and diagrams, for example, like those of the IELTS, for example, processing text in speech and writing, translating, note-taking, expressing personal response, analysis and criticism of a creative text. So what kind of text are you going to give to your students? And then when you decide about the text, how are you going to pass the concept of this text to your own students? Collaborating in groups, leading group work, which is very important, as I mentioned before, that they have stressed this idea before. And so they have divided the collaborating in a group into facilitating collaborative interaction with peers and collaborating to contrast meaning. The most important thing that they stress that the students should be divided into groups. And these groups should have a leader and, for example, a script writer and the time manager. And then they sit together and they start discussing the passages, the comprehension passages or the text or the video or whatever we are going to use in class. And it's very important that we give them questions or we give them objectives for the work that they are going to do. For example, you are going to sit together. We are going to divide the comprehension passage into two parts. You are going to take the first part. This group is going to take the next part. Each one of you is to decide the main ideas in each one, and then you are going to present your ideas. This idea of leading a group over here, managing interaction and encouraging conceptual talk means that the students have to sit together, discuss the ideas, put it in points, and then they have to decide how are they going to present it. Are they going to present it in the form PowerPoint presentation, or is it going to be a chart, or is it going to be some kind of a quick drawing, maybe a mind map or a thinking map to present their own ideas all around. And then they are going to start presenting it together in different ways. And it would be a great idea if more than one student shared in the presentation. And so, and then they give you this idea of mediating communication, facilitating pluricultural space, which is very, very, very important. Because as you know, due to the great changes that are taking place all around the world nowadays, we have lots of immigrants all around the world. We have people traveling for work, we have people traveling for fun, for tourism, and so on. So there has been more and more interaction with people of different nationalities all around the world. And so when you get into the classes, you can find different nationalities of different students. One of the teachers that I met in IETFL a number of years ago told me that I have about 23 nationalities in my own class. Can you imagine this? 23 nationalities. This is a kind of great wealth that you can use as a teacher in your class, because when you come to a point when there are what we call argumentative points, we can ask the students from the different cultures to give us an idea about what do they think of this in their own culture, how do they deal with it, what about the traditions. If we are speaking about traditions, that would be a great class if we can discuss such things. So we can have the students collaborating together and presenting this in different forms in order to speak about their own culture, their own language, their own traditions. So this kind of group work would be very interactive, because the students have learned language over here, vocabulary or grammar. How are they going to use this to function, using this to speak about their own culture? Through the texts that you are introducing in class, through the videos that you are introducing, through the different kinds of medium or media that you are going to use in class. So they have stressed the importance of the choice of the media, the variety of the choice of the media, and how to use it in class in order to help your students to develop learning the language. So they have stressed here two important ideas, which is the idea of pluriculturalism and the idea of plurilingualism. Because some of our students or many of our students come to the class having their own native language, and they are learning the language of the country that they have moved to. And maybe there is a third language which they speak chit chat with it without studying it. So this is a kind of wealth that can help that we can use to help our own students in order to be able to develop using the language, and we move to what we call the real language use. So this is the mediation that they have stressed, as we have said before. They have divided the descriptors according to the receptive activities, the listening and the reading, the productive, which is the speaking and the writing, interaction and mediation, and they have stressed the importance of using interaction in order to integrate the four skills together. So through mediation. So and keeping an important, a great importance, or giving great importance to online interaction, plurilingualism, and pluriculturalism. And for each one of these, they have set descriptors like this. When you open the CEFR, you are going to find it like this. They have divided it according to the skill that they are going to speak about, and then what kind of skill are they speaking about, overall listening comprehension, for example, and they have divided it according to all the new skills that they have added. We said that we before had 6 skills: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, and now they have added the others pre-A1, A1 plus, A1, A1 plus, and they have added 11. They are now in total 11 skills. So they have set descriptors for each one. Take a look at the first one over here. The pre-A1 can understand short, very simple questions and statements, provided that they are delivered slowly and clearly, and accompanied by visuals or manual gestures to support understanding and repeated if necessary. So see, they are giving you an explanation, clear explanation of the abilities of your own students at this level. So when you are preparing the exercises, you have a clear idea of what you can do with your own students. Are the exercises that I'm going to use, are they suitable for my own students, or do I need to make it easier or even more difficult? And as you know that we usually keep a +1, means we add a little difficulty to what we do with the students. But later on, when they start developing, we give them higher and higher levels of exercises. For example, here in B2, for example, can understand the main idea of proportionally and linguistically complex speech on both concrete and abstract topics. So they are telling us that here is the kind of upgrading for the language. So we have to keep in mind what they can do. So what kind of exercises can I give them? And these kinds of exercises, how are they going to help them with the speaking, with the listening, and so on. This is how the descriptors look like, the new ones. And again, with the mediation over here, with the descriptors as well, with the mediation, they have divided it into the different topics. And again, they give you an idea of the abilities of the students concerning each one. For example, I can convey simple, predictable information given in short, simple text, like signs, notices, posters, and programs. Over here, I can convey information in clear, well-structured informational texts on subjects that are familiar or of personal and current interest. So as you can see over here that the students, you understand the abilities of your own students. So you have 2 options here, or you have 2 chances over here. The first one is that it can help you to do some kind of assessment template for yourself about how to assess your own students after you have already planned your lessons. That's one. And the other one, you can make a simple self assessment that you can give to your own students. This is going to help your students to be aware of the development of the language that they are achieving, and you can make it very simple with yes, no, 1, 2, 3. How far can I do this? I can convey simple, predictable, so and so. For example, so how far is it right for you? Is it from 1 to 5? Is it yes or no? So you can choose maybe a smiling face, a sad face. So you can make very simple self-assessment templates for your own students that can help you as a teacher to understand how they understand themselves with the learning of the language. I am going to show you some assessment tools later on. Here we have a random wheel Let me check with you again this random wheel. Um, okay, can you see my screen? Can you see the, let me do it again. Can you see this one?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, that's great. Okay, let me have a test with you and you can give me the answers in the chat box. Sorry, just a second. Yeah. Okay. It's a kind of check too for what we have already done. How are the new descriptors introduced? Let me ask you, how are the new descriptors introduced? Are they introduced with the 4 language skills, or they are done in a different way? Remember, we said what's the changes that happen between the old ones and the new ones. Don't be shy, just put it in the chat. Don't worry about it. If it's not right, no problem. How are the new descriptors introduced? Have we used the 4 descriptor for language skills or not? Say yes or no. Have we used the 4 skills with different functionalities? Thank you, Ido. You are much better now, Ido. Okay, let's eliminate this one. Okay, let's spin it once more. Are there descriptors for the 4 skills of the language in the new CEFR? Yes or no? Come on, don't be bashful. I can see a number of people over here already, so you can give it a try. Yeah, say yes or no. Are the descriptors for the 4 skills in the are there descriptors for the 4 skills of the language? Remember, according to what Edu said, it's a no. It's a no. No, we said that according to the new different to the new changes of the CEFR, they are not using the 4 language skills. They are using, they have divided them into receptive, productive, interaction, and mediation. Let's eliminate this one and see another one. Let's spin it. Are there assessment templates to help? This is what we are going to discover now. What has the CEFR added, or what has been added on the website of the CEFR that can help us as teachers? This is what this one that I'm using. This is called the word wheel, random wheel, sorry, and it's on Wordwall. And I'm setting the link at the end of the presentation for it. The Wordwall, you can find what we call this random wheel. You can put questions for your own students, and you can use it as a kind of check before you start the lesson, and you can use it as a kind of check after you finish the lesson. So we have finished the first part of my presentation over here. So that's why I'm checking back with you. How far have you grasped the info that I have already introduced? So again, we are going to get back to the presentation once more. So you can use the random wheel. It's over there. It's very simple, very easy, that you can use in order to make different kinds of questions and assessment questions for your own students. And you can use it even for tests. It can be very simple speaking tests that can be very simple and very interactive in class at the same time. Now this is the CEFR. These are the new changes that have already taken place with the CEFR. So what have they done to help us as teachers of young learners along the way? How are the new descriptors applied to teaching young learners? They have already set what we call the new parallel project. This parallel project has been divided into 2 parts. two parts for teachers who teach from 7 to 10 years old and teachers who teach from 11 to 15 years old. They have set two different volumes for this. You can find them, as you can see them here. They are already online. They are for free. You can download them and you can use them. How can you use them as teachers? Take a look at this. They have divided them according to the levels that we have mentioned before, and they have set the different kinds of skills that they are going to speak about, and then they start dividing them, giving you an idea of the abilities of the students at these levels. For example, over here, if you take a look at the very first one, productive strategies. Sorry. Productive strategies, B1. What can the students do at this level? The students can work out to communicate the main points he or she wants to get across, exploring any resources available and limiting the message to what he or she recall or find the means to express. Means that the students at this level, they have the ability to use the vocabulary learned or the grammar learned in order to speak about certain topics according to their own level. Another one can define the features of something concrete. Means they can describe a person, they can describe a statue, can describe an object, for example, and so on. What can they do with the speaking? For example, interactive activities below over here can communicate with some confidence on familiar routine and non-routine matters related to his or her interests and professional field. For example, that the students they speak about their daily routine. I wake up at so and so, I have breakfast, I go to work, and. And then, is it suitable, relevant for that age? Yes, it's relevant. And what can the students do at this level? For example, I can use a simpler synonym or describe, in other words, the words I don't know or have forgotten. So they are giving you two sides for the same coin here. They tell you what are the skills, what are the abilities of the students at this level, and then they give you details of these abilities and skills. That's why I told you before that with these descriptors, you can make very simple self-assessment templates that can help you and help your students to understand how far they are developing with the language. Take a look at another one for A2, A2 plus level. For example, it can write about everyday aspects of his or her environment, for example, people, places, a job or study experience in linked sentences. So they can write short paragraph, for example. Is it relevant for that age? Yes, it's relevant. What kind of writing can they do in details? I can write a little about my school and friends. I can write a little about what we are doing in class. I can write sentences about the weather, the days I like, and the clothes we need, and so on. So they are giving you details. So these help you to understand quite well what are your students able to do with the language learned, and what kind of activities, what kind of exercises, what kind of group work can you give to your own students in order to help them to develop the learning of the language and get more interested in what they are already learning. Again, here you can find another one for B2 and B2 plus, again, for written interaction, for online interaction, and it's relevant for that, or it's partially relevant. So it gives you what's suitable, what's not suitable, and what you can do with it. They have done this with as I told you, with the two separate ages, from 7 to 10 and from 11 to 15. The same thing here is done with 11 to 15, with all the different kinds of competences that we have mentioned before: the productive skills, the productive skills, the receptive skills, the interaction, and the mediation. Have they, as the question that I have asked you now, have they set you any kind of templates or assessment templates that would help you as teachers? Yes, this is one of the most interesting things that you can find over there. You can find different kinds of assessment templates that you can use, and these templates are graded from very simple ones for very young children to even university students and adults. For example, here you can find a template like this. You can use it with your own students by the end of the week or the end of the unit, for example. These are things that I have learned, so the students can add the words or the expressions that they have learned, the grammar, whatever they have learned. These are the things I have enjoyed learning. Easy, what have you found easy? What have you found difficult? Another template like this would be like this if you would like to check how they are enjoying the learning of the language and the different kinds of activities that you do in class. So they can say, I like, I don't like, I am sure, I'm not sure. So it will give you the chance to understand how far they are interacting with what you are giving to them and if it's suitable for their level or not. For this one, my word wall, they can add the words that they learn along the way or through the week. And this can be suitable somehow for beginner adults, for example. When I want to learn something new, I like to. This can be used with older students, for example. Learning how to learn attitude and motivation. You can start using this with high school students, with the middle school students, with even university students or others. And of course, you can, you can adapt it according to what you really want to ask them about. Again, you can find more and more of these. The link is already at the very end of the presentation. You can find different kinds of templates that you can use and adapt and adjust according to your own classes and the needs of your own students. So now we come to the most important point of our presentation here, which is the online assessment tools. Online assessment tools, I have divided them according to the 4 skills, and I tried to keep in mind how to choose practical and simple ones that can help you as teachers. Because I have made a survey for all different kinds of tools that we have been using and trying all through the last year, and I've come up with a number a number of tools that I hope that you are going to enjoy. Edu, would you kindly tell me how much time do I have left?
Looks like you have 30 minutes.
30 minutes, that's great, thank you. So here we have with the speaking, we have the Vox Pop. Let me show you the Vox Pop here. Sorry. Sorry. Can you see this? Can you see this?
Yes, we can.
No, that's great. This is the Vox Pop. It's a website where you can put jokes, use jokes, random jokes on the screen, and you can ask your students to interact according to them. Or even you can ask your students to think of different kinds of jokes, and they can put them again on the screen, and you can start asking them to discuss it using the vocabulary already learned. It's an idea. It can be a kind of helping the students to relax about speaking without feeling that they are doing something wrong. They are just enjoying using the functioning, the vocabulary that they have learned, and you can even put more serious ones. It's up to you, and then you can ask your students to comment on them, and then you can evaluate how far they have gone with the usage of the language. Another one would be the Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a very interesting one because it helps the students to discuss more serious topics. Let me open it once more. Can you see the Flipgrid on the screen?
No, not right now. We only see you.
Can you see this?
Okay, now we see it.
Okay, that's great. So with the Flipgrid, you can make a website, you can sign up for free, and then you can introduce different kinds of topics for your own students. And these different kinds of topics, the students can comment on them using videos, or they can even write, and they can act things together. They can make some kind of conversation together. They can act things, and they can add as you can see, there is a video here that explains everything in details for you. And then you can post it to your own students. You can either do it with them inside the class as a kind of practice for speaking, or you can give it to them as a kind of assignment to do it at home, and then you check it, and then you present it to the other students in class, and all the class can see it online, so they can see the work of each other, and they can benefit from what each of the other groups have already done, or each of the individual students can do. And it's very interesting because it can be used with any topic, with any, not just with learning the language, it can be used with science, with math, with different kinds of topics. The most important thing is that you put a topic there, you put an objective, you put different kinds of questions for your own students. What do you really want them to do? So they take the topic and they change it into, and they answer the questions in different ways according to their own perspective. And then you check their own speaking. How far have they done with the speaking? What about the pronunciation? What about the structured sentences that they have used? So you can make notes for them, and you can record your response to what they have already done over there. So this is a kind of mutual benefit, because sometimes we don't have enough time to do this with the students in class, to evaluate each one or assess each one of them and give them feedback. So you can give them feedback online, and they can get in and check it, and then you can give them another one, and so on and so on. And you can give a brief at the end of the class of what has been done and how this has been useful for the others. And you can even show them the best presentations, so they can benefit and discuss it and analyze it with them. So this is the Flipgrid, and it's free, and it has been very interactive with lots of teachers, and lots of teachers like it very much. You can even use it as a kind of test for the students. You can, after you practice with the students using the Flipgrid for a whole term, for example, by the end of the term, you ask them, you give them a topic with certain questions, certain objectives, and they can go on and record their own responses over there, and you can evaluate it at your own pace at home or in your class, so you have your own time to assess your own students. This is the Flipgrid, which is very interesting for listening and speaking. Let us take a look again at another one. Stop sharing this one. Here again, we get to this one. We have the word wall, the very first activity that I have already done. Let me show it to you again once more, because I believe a number of people have not been here. So maybe I have the chance to show it to them once more. Again, the word wall, it's very simple, very easy. Let me show them my activities. Again, this one, like this one, for example, you can put a quiz over here. There are different kinds of quizzes. If you take a look over here, you can find different kinds of templates. You have the match up, you have find the match, a quiz, a maze. There are lots of them, multiple choice questions, and so on. And you can ask the students to submit the answers. For example, they are going to match this one with this one, for example, with this one here, and this one, and then this one, for example, and then submit answers. So it tells me if what I've done is right or wrong. It gives me sounds, so it's highly interactive. It gives me the score, and there is what we call the leaderboard over here. Can you see it? The leaderboard, it tells us how many students have been there, and it gives me the score each time, and the time that each student has taken in order to answer the questions. I have another template. If you don't like this, there are lots of templates, of course. It depends on the class that you are going to use. Here, I have another one. Not this one. I'm sorry. It's not. It seems that it doesn't want to come. If you can see this, the skills over here, I have the question with the numbers and I choose the number, which is the correct one. And then I choose it and submit the answer as well. There is also this wheel, the idea of the wheel. Again, it's very interesting for the revisions. You can, as we have already done it, you can spin the wheel. You can ask your students to answer the questions, and then you give points in groups, so it's going to be highly interactive. You can do it as a kind of help for your own students to break the fear of speaking and answering open questions in front of their peers. So you can do it for the speaking again, and it can be done for a kind of revision. So you can do it in the form of practice in class, and then you can do it in the form of revision, and then you can do it in the form of a kind of test online, very quick test for online for your own students. So there are different other ideas, lots and lots of ideas over here that you can find them. You can use them according to the needs of your own classes. Again, we get back again here to our PowerPoint presentation. We have Vooks. Vooks is very interesting because for speaking again, you want your students to practice speaking. For example, you have been helping your students to speak about going to the market, for example. So you ask your students to go home and think of a kind of conversation with their own peers, and then they can make an account on Vooks, and they can record that short conversation, and they can give you the link to it, and you can get in and listen to them and see if they have done it correctly or not. The same thing can be done with the extempore, but the extempore is not free. Vookaroo, same idea, it's just for recording, nothing else. And speaker time, speaker clock, it's a timer, it's very nice because, you know, for example, with the tests like the IELTS, for example, you want to help your students to practice using the language, but they are always afraid and they are always worried that they are going to make mistakes because of the timing, and they believe that they are not will not be able to finish on time. So you can use the speaker clock time to set for them time, for example 3 minutes, 4 minutes, according to the IELTS or the speaking exam that they are going to go through, and you can help them to make practice according to this, and then when they come to the test they have already got used to it, so it's going to be much easier and less stressful for them. These are the different kinds of very easy, very simple, to the point tools online that you can use for the assessment and practice of the language of your own students. What about Cambridge assessment? Cambridge assessment is very interesting as well. If you go to Cambridge assessment English online, all the templates are already over there. They have suggestions with these templates that you can see over here. If you would like to assess the tests of your own students, the speaking of your own students, how can you design a template for yourself to use in order to assess the speaking of your own students? And they have given you, as you can see here, different kinds of suggestions. Of course, you are going to choose according to the level of the students, your curriculum, the kind of class that you have, what level of students do you have. So you have here a grammatical resource, the lexical one, the discourse management, how far are they good with the structure of the sentences, the pronunciation, the interactive communication, how far do they interact with you when you answer the question, ask the question, do they answer you right away? What kind of communication, how far are they good with the communication? So you can pick and choose the items that you would like to use as a teacher, put it in a very simple template for yourself, put the marks according from 1 to 5, for example, from good to very good to bad to a mild or to a weak or poor or whatever. So you can divide it according to your own usage, your class, the level, the curriculum, and everything. If you go over there to Cambridge Assessment, I've set the link at the very end. Again, you find assessment, full assessment for this with different ideas, and how you can even, as a teacher, use pictures in order to test the speaking of your own students, and use stories in order to test the speaking of your own students. Very, very interesting, and it can help you a lot as teachers. With the listening, I adore this one. It's the British Council website of Learn English. Have you used it before? I'm sorry. Has anybody used it before? It's a very interesting one.
No, I haven't.
Neither have I.
Excuse me? Can you see this one?
I'm sorry, I said neither have I used it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, can you see it now in front of you? Sorry. This is the website of the British Council, the Learn English. It's a very resourceful, highly resourceful one. It can be used with all levels. I have tried it with all kinds of students, from the youngsters, the high school students, the adults, my university students. I've tried with all levels of students. When you go over here, you can find the word skills. When you stop here, you find the 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, writing. And you can find the listening over here. When you get to the listening, you can discover, you can find, choose the level. For example, beginner A1. You can find listening topics, 10 listening topics about 10 different subjects. And for each one of these, you can find questions. The students have to listen to a short conversation. You can have a preparation for the vocabulary. Let me show you this one. For example, they are introducing the vocabulary before you get in, a very short exercise. If you'd like to do it, it's up to you. And then they listen to the very short piece of listening. As you can see here, it's 1 minute and a half, almost 1 minute and a half. And then there is a task that can be done online here. And there is another task, a more complicated one, with choose the correct answer about the info that's being heard. Of course, you have the choice here of 3 different kinds of tasks. They are downloadable as a worksheet. Even the transcript is downloadable. And you can use it with your own students. They can listen. You can discuss it with them first. And then when they discuss it, you can show them the question and ask them to open it on their end, on their computers, and they start choosing, and you can see the answers in front of you. Or you can ask them to take it as a homework. You can do some of them as a kind of practice for them in class, and then you can give them extra ones at home, because as you can see, there are 10 items for each level. And then you can later on use it in tests for them, even in class. So you have the practice, you have the chance for them to do it with you online. They have the chance to do it at home, and you can use it even for tests. They are highly practical. They are very beneficial, very simple, to the point. Very, very, very interactive and very effective with students. I have tried it with all levels of students. It makes miracles with the students. If they work, what we say, gradually on them for a certain period of time, and they move from one level to the other, it makes a great change to their own level concerning, especially the listening. It makes a great difference for them. This has to do with the listening, which I believe is one of the highly interactive and very important websites for helping students to develop with the learning of the language. This has to do with with the listening. What about the reading? With the reading, we have a number of very interesting ones. Again, once more. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not
Yes,
yet.
I can see.
Okay. Here it is. Okay. We have with the reading, we have Vooks. Vooks is a very interesting website. You have lots of stories over there, narrated stories. You can open the stories and discuss it with, read it out loud with the students, and the students can discuss it. So you can give the different students different stories, and in groups they can sit together, read the stories or listen even to the stories, and they interact. You give them questions that they can answer, and then they give you back the feedback to the whole class about what they have understood. You can even use one story, divide the story into parts for all the students, and each group of students can take a number of questions, and they can answer the questions and then present it to the class, and then you can collect the whole item of all the items of the different kinds of stories together, so the students would be able to understand the story and start developing the listening speaking skill, and at the same time the reading skill. Another very interesting one is called Think Link. Let me show it to you as well. This one is creative. Can you see it? Here you can create unique experiences with interactive images, videos, and 360-degree media. You can help your students with very simple tools on this website in order to change what they have understood from the reading into pictures and images. They can use different kinds of ideas in order to change the story that they have understood into pictures. As you can see here, they can add a picture, they can put a piece of information, and they can present it later on to the rest of the class to speak about what they have really understood from the story. This can be used with older students, for example, the middle school students or high school students. It's going to make it more interactive, more give them more what we call confidence with the usage of the language, because they will be able to write short pieces of info about what they have understood and then present it in front of the class. So it's going to give them a boost with the language. They can check, it gives them the chance also to check the language before they show it to the rest of the class. So it can be a kind, again, of test for you. To use it as a kind of assessment for your own students. Give them a very short project at the end of the term, at the end of the level, if you are teaching adults, in order to see how far they have developed with the usage of the language, whether in writing or in reading.
Just to let you know, Maha, you have 10 minutes left.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Let me do this one as a kind of, before I close up, before I end the presentation. I would like you to do this. Would you kindly go one of the reading tools also that we that's very practical, very effective in testing reading, testing different kinds of info that you give to your own students. We have Socrative, Quizlet, and Quizalize. They are highly practical and they are very simple. They help you to make different kinds of exercises. And when you put the exercises over there, you ask the students either to do it in class or to do it as a kind of homework, and you get the feedback for what they have done. Would you kindly now go to write zi.sh, and then when it opens, put this number. You are going to get a quiz. Try to answer a quiz, this quiz. I can put it also in the chat box. Just get write Zish and then put the number as soon as it appears for you. And tell me, what have you found out?
It says the code is wrong.
The code is wrong. Okay, I will try it once more.
I was able to get in.
You were able.
6924 WRN.
Okay, so let's try it once more. Kav, were you able to get in?
No.
Try once more. Just put zish only, double Z I dot is sh. Just put it alone. It doesn't accept the code, but I was able to get in. Okay, let me try to show it to you. Okay.
I was able to get into the website and log in, and now it says join class 1
Okay.
and to pick a name from the list.
Okay, that's great. Okay, let's do it. Okay. WRN 6924. Okay. Let me show you because we are running out of time. When you get in as a student, you have two choices, either to get in as a teacher or to get in as a student. If you get in as a student, you get into the class because I've already set the code. So you put your name. If your name is already over there, you choose your name. If not, Edo is already over here. You can find Edo, Claudia, and we find the number of people over here. That's great. So these are some of the previous students. If I'm going to get in as a teacher, log in as a teacher, I'm going to get in through my own account. I will log in with the Google. Okay, so here I have class 1. Let me view the class. You can see different kinds of activities over here, and different kinds of exercises. So I can choose one of these online played in class before. So let me have a preview of the quiz. How does it look like? It looks like this. I've set the questions and the students have to answer. I have the choice here on the left-hand side to start a class game. I can share the link with other teachers. I can share it with my own students, and I can print it and I can edit it. And the students are going then, if it's okay, I publish I create the quiz. It's published for the students. So what happens after that? The students answer. When they answer, I get a list of what they have already done like this. I have the names, I have the average, how far they have done with the different kinds of exercises. And it's the very interesting thing is that you can ask the program to give you to sort you the results of the students according to the last name, for example, or first name, highest numbers, marks first, lowest ones. They can do it with more than one attempt, and you can ask the template, the app, just to show you the last attempt the newest the students have already done. Display the best attempt, the first one, the last one. So you get a full view of what your students have already done. So you give them the quiz. You can either do it in class and you find the results on the spot, or you can give it as a kind of homework for the students again on the spot. These are very simple, very quick, very easy, and they don't take time at all to do them. I think I have 10 minutes only left, Edo, or maybe less. Edo?
Yeah, you have about 3 minutes left.
3 minutes. Oh. So I'm sorry, I won't be able to show you. I wanted to show you how to create it in steps, create a new quiz. You can get it like this. Just quick check. And then you can choose the kind of questions, and you can add the questions, and then you publish them or save them, and then you can decide what you are going to do with them with your own students. Thank you very much, Alvin. Let me stop sharing this one. Let me try to wrap up as quickly as possible. So these are very highly interactive ones. So Creative, Quizlet, and Quizalize, they are very close to each other, and they are highly interactive in helping you to make different kinds of exercises, either as tests or assessment for your own students, or even for practice in class. Let me give you an idea about the writing. We have two apps over here. We have Beta and Grammarly. Beta, that one belongs to Cambridge University Press. Beta, you can go over there. You can choose a topic. You can write a short paragraph about it. You submit it, and then you submit it, yes, so the program or the app is going to give you the result. If your sentence is correct, it's going to be in green, highlighted in green. If it's half and half, it's going to be highlighted in orange, and if it's wrong, it's going to be highlighted in red. And then you can try once more, correct it, and they can follow up with you. There is even practice for the different levels of the British Council, FCE, CEP, and so on. And there is also practice for IELTS, but unfortunately these are not free. You have to pay for them. But the very simple ones for beginners and intermediate students, it's very easy. So you can even refer your students to them in order to do extra writing, because you don't have enough time to correct it for them. So they can go over there, do some kind of practice, and then give you feedback what they have done. You can even check what they have done and see if they are developing with the writing practice. Grammarly is also can be done online. Grammarly you can put your passage, and the app is going to tell you if your sentences are strong enough, the style is okay or not. It's a very simple one, very easy one. Again, it can be done to help your students, because sometimes or many times you don't have enough time to do this. Then I have a very quick idea about teaching students writing, if you'd like to benefit from the idea. That I believe that one of the ways that help students to develop writing is that how to make a summary. Whenever we have a story, for example, working with a story or a comprehension passage, it's advisable to ask the students to make write one main idea for each paragraph, and then to put it in a form of a summary with a certain number of words, and then you can help them to move from writing one paragraph into 2 paragraphs, and then to move on to an essay form. I have already said this.
Okay, one last time. Can you please finish up?
Yes, okay, sure. I have already done a detailed explanation of the new CEFR revisions over here with the EVO, TESOL, International TESOL EVO. You can find the link over here. And here also, you can find all the references that I have already spoken about. And I have already set the PDF of this on the link of the website, of the JALT website. You can find the link of the whole PowerPoint presentation over there. And if you have any questions, you are most welcome. You can find also on the YouTube channel a number of my sessions over there where I explain more about the CEFR. With the EVO, I have divided the CEFR into different chunks according to 5 weeks, and with the videos and the references where I explain all the details of the changes that happened with the CEFR. So if you'd like to go back to it, you are most welcome. It's for free over there. Thank you very much. I hope I have benefited you enough, and it is a pleasure always to present with JALT. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions right now, but you can see Maha's contact information is there on the screen. Please contact her directly. As she said, the PDF is available to download on the Eventzilla website under her session as an asset, so you can access it from there. Thank you very much, and thank everybody for attending today's presentation and for attending the conference. The next thing on the schedule is the closing ceremony. If everyone